Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Just this week, at the end of June 2022, in Germany and in the US, in both of these countries, there were changes made in our legal system with respect to the protection of unborn life. You probably all know about what happened in the US, but you might not be aware of what happened in Germany. In today's presentation, I want to go briefly over the changes in the US and then describe to you what has happened in Germany. You know that there are two sides, the pro-life and the pro-death or pro-choice camp. And if you look at this just as a political struggle of two different camps, then we can say that the pro-life crowd scored a victory, a legal victory, a big one in the United States, the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the US Supreme Court. And in Germany, on the other hand, the pro-death team scored a major victory, something that they were fighting for decades already, and that is that paragraph 219A, I think it is called, is cancelled, is taken out of our legal system, is no longer valid, and that was banning the advertisement for the medical procedure of ending an unborn life. It is of course possible to do that in Germany, but there were some restrictions on how you can advertise for this dubious medical service, and that is something that the liberal crowd in Germany hated. They were constantly and systematically lying about the legal situation in Germany, misrepresenting the reality. I will go over that in the course of the video. And the goal is of course that you can advertise these services in public, like the sandwich of the month for a fast food joint, and you can advertise it on billboards, in cinemas, on TV, everywhere, like it was just another product, like it was just another service. Just imagine billboards on the side of the road, like for a car dealership, you know, bring a friend and get 50% off. Have 3 procedures for the price of 2. Yeah, it was exactly this kind of advertisement for this particular service that was deemed immodest and immoral in Germany and was therefore not allowed. However, now it is. So, but for now, let's start with what happened on the other side of the pond in the United States of America. You might know that it is a big question in America, especially right now, but also in the past it was a big deal, and that is the question of state rights. Is it a democracy? Is it a republic? Is it a centralized state? Is it a federal state? Is it a federation? What is it? It is the United States of America, and originally state rights were really much more prominent than it was in recent decades. The capital became, the central government, let's say, became stronger and stronger, and now we see that this trend seems to be broken, and it goes back a little more to the original form where the states could manage their own affairs to a much higher degree. That was, at least that is what I read about the United States and its origins. This is how it was supposed to be in the beginning. So that means, despite of what you hear and read in mass media, all that they did is say that there shouldn't be any federal law granting the right for this medical procedure, but the states have to make laws, and the states can decide whether or not they want to allow it or they don't want to allow it, or up until what month or week or in what form, under which circumstances. The states need to figure out what they want to do. And of course, a couple of very conservative states, they prepared for this, and Trump put these justices, these conservative justices, on the Supreme Court, and now I think they will pretty much ban this procedure. But if gas prices don't rise any further, then these women who want to have this procedure done, they can just drive to the next state and have it done there. So of course, there will still be plenty of states where you can do that. But be that as it may, this is still a very important milestone in the legal struggle of conservative Americans, family-oriented traditionalists, in order to protect unborn life. But let's look at the situation in Germany now, where it went the exact opposite direction, to no surprise at all, of course. The procedure is legal in Germany, or let's just say it is treated as if it was legal in Germany. You can easily do it, and in fact, millions of German women had it done. I have a graph here that shows how many unborn German people, or people in Germany, we don't know the ethnicity of course, but the majority will be unborn Germans, were terminated, let's say, before they were born, or whose mothers didn't allow them to be born. And you see it goes from the middle of the 90s at a level of 130 or even above 130,000 per year, and then it dropped of course because there are fewer and fewer young Germans, and also young pregnant German women of course, and it dropped to about around 100,000 per year, the latest data from 2021. So if you roughly add that up, you arrive at a number of roughly 2.8 million young Germans who didn't see the light of day. But of course, our politicians have made sure that we have plenty of new Germans, or asterisk Germans, passport Germans, who will take their place. Of course, they don't behave the same way, and they are not our people, but hey, the factories that are owned by international corporations must be full of worker bees, worker drones, and the big wheel must keep on turning. That is all that matters. The GDP must rise. So now let's go back to what I announced earlier also, and this is this false narrative that these liberals have been pushing for decades, and that is that because up until now it was not possible to publicly advertise this service, so that means a medical practice cannot put up a billboard at the side of the road saying get 3, pay for 2, or bring a friend and get 50% off. You can't do that. That is illegal, or that used to be. Now it is allowed. Now it is perfectly allowed, and maybe they will do that. They probably won't because it is absolutely tasteless, but technically I think they could do that now. But what these liberal commies were claiming is that if a young person is in need of medical assistance, they just don't have the information. There is no access to any information. And that is such a danger that we put these young women in because they have no information. That is, of course, absolutely wrong. If you went to a doctor, they could talk about everything. They could give you all the information. Absolutely no problem. Once again, the only thing is that they couldn't publicly advertise this service. They could even write on their website that they're offering this service as long as it wasn't written like an ad. They could say, we do this procedure. They could do it on their website, no problem, and many of them did that. You could even advertise for these instruments, but only in technical medical journals, of course, not, once again, not on TV, not in the cinema, and not on a billboard. That was it, to my knowledge at least. Post down below if you disagree or if you made different experiences in Germany, but this is the reality. And how do you think that millions of Germans could have done this procedure or had it done if it was so difficult and so dangerous to do it here? Once again, all that this paragraph, all that this law did was banning public ads for this service, nothing else. If you went to see a doctor, they could give you all the brochures and all the information and all the stuff, no problem. But of course, the fact that this procedure could not really be implemented at an industrial scale in Germany because you were not allowed to advertise it, that was bothering the liberals because they want ads for this. They want, in fact, public ads for this on the side of the road. And I want to add one more thing. If you say that, oh, Germany is just a liberal country and in the sense of liberalism, we must allow this because everyone should be able to advertise their goods and services. Well, Germany has no problems banning advertisements in other sectors. Advertisements for tobacco products are, for example, restricted. You cannot advertise for tobacco products on the side of the road anymore, only in the displays of these dedicated stores, and you cannot advertise it in cinemas, I think. think when there are movies that where minors or something can also go to, so family movies or something. So see, Germany has no problems restricting the possibility of businesses to do advertisement, to run ads when it is seen as being bad for people's health. Now, tobacco is of course very bad for people's health, but you know what is also really bad for people's health? Being cut into little pieces. That is very bad for people's health, but you can advertise that now. So is it coincidence that these changes just happened in the same week in Germany and the US, and that they are in completely opposite directions? A win for the two different camps, pro-life one in the US and pro-death one in Germany? Well, I don't know. You tell me. Take care. Servus, Kameraden.